Hello everyone, I am Hedgehog, and welcome to a new monthly segment, I hope, called Your Opinion is Shit. This is a segment once a month where I poll my patrons about a topic and I ask them what the worst of something is, because I'm too pure of heart to step on anyone's dreams, but I will talk shit about shit, for sure. So if you two would like to get in on the action, once a month I'm asking a negatively worded question over on my Patreon, and for $5 or more a month, you too can get in on the fun. So maybe consider doing that. Consider. There's a button, and there's a button, and actually there's not a button up there because I'm not monetized yet, but there's a button down there. Go click it. Please go click it. For me. Do it for me. Do it for me. Anyway, also, one more piece of news to discuss. I posted this recently on the channel, but I am uploading currently to my other channel a new novel that I wrote called Das Vidanya. So if you're interested in reading the things I've written, please go check that out. Leave me a comment. I don't know that you've watched it unless you leave a comment. It helps my mindset. And also, I believe this segment is going to stay on this channel, but we're going to see how well it performs. Might go on the other channel just so I don't tank my my YouTube algorithm, the goodwill I've earned on this channel so far. So, yeah, but for now, it is here. We might move it. We'll see. Who knows? Anyway, the question for this month, that as voted on by the patrons, is what is the worst video game you've ever played? So I polled the patrons. I got 5 responses, which is fantastic. So let's go in, and I might end up looking up some footage for some of these games because I don't know all of them. But we're gonna go through these opinions. We're gonna talk about them. It's gonna be great. First, for Chronos. A friend of mine tried to get me to play Entropia Universe back in our teens, roughly 15 to 20 years ago. That's the MMO wherein everything is based in real-world cash, unless you're content with farming literal monster sweat as the free option. This involved going up to these monsters and just rubbing sweat off them. That's somebody's kink. I distinctly remember one particular session. After an hour or more of traveling through a bunch of generic forests and jungles filled with death at every turn, we found our prize, a spot where the sweat drop rate was ever so slightly better. This was also my final session. I could say a lot about monetization policies in games. I'm not really a fan of like gacha systems of mobile game systems. And this seems kind of like the predecessor to that, where you have to spend money to get anything. This whole big trend kind of started with Facebook games and kind of got carried over into mobile games, into gacha games. And yeah, it's a pretty shit monetization strategy that specifically preys on both the young and the gambling addicted. I actually played Genshin Impact for a little while. I did spend a little bit of money. I think at most I spent like $15, and it was to get Tartaglia, and I got him. It made me very happy. It was like my last pull, and I got him. Yeah, that sounds pretty bad, especially just because you literally have to rub sweat off of monsters. Yeah, I'd say that opinion's that's a gold star opinion. That game sounds like utter shit. Here, let's look up. I'm gonna go here and we're gonna look up what Entropia Universe looks like so I can make fun of how shitty it looks. Let's see. Wow. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Yeah, I don't even have anything to say about that. Yeesh. Anyway, our next opinion from Davcav. The worst game I ever played probably has to go to Spyborgs for the Wii, another game I haven't played. It wasn't a bad game, I remember it being mediocre at most, but the ad they used on Gamefly showed off the beta trailer when it was pitched as fun Saturday morning-esque romp complete with commercial minigames, only to then learn when I played it that it was actually a stark contrast with boring melodrama with the bloom effects turned up to 11. Whoa, yeah, it's a PS3 era game. Safe to say that was the most disappointing moment in gaming for me. Alright, let's look up this trailer, because you mentioned the trailer, so...
My power will be unrivaled. Soon, I will have total control and be worshipped as a god.
Assemble the Spyborgs. Stinger. Clandestine. Bouncer.
Dude, they've even got, like, the title cards. This has absolutely been advertised as a fun little game. 100%.
What is that?
There was even a shitty little one-liner! They put a fucking one-liner in there! Oh my god.
Spyborgs.
So, you said that this ad was on Gamefly? It looks like it belongs on 4Kids TV. Like, that's the most, like, Saturday morning cartoon thing I've ever seen in my life. Obviously, this is something that's pretty condemned in the industry, but a lot of games still try to get away with it, which is to false advertise what your game is, to maybe get the broadest possible audience. And, yeah, that's pretty shit. That might not be the worst game, but that's fucking dumb. That's stupid. Especially when, like, something is supposed to be fun. Like, especially when the tone is so jarring. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's really shitty, obviously, when the gameplay is not what advertised, No Man's Sky, or stuff like that. But, like, sometimes you just want to sit down and play a fun game. And if you get a really dramatic game or a story that's not what you want, that is, like, the most disappointing thing, when the tone is just wrong. That's something that I try really hard to advertise, either what the tone of my works are, or I try to purposefully fake you out. This was just clumsy and silly. John Hummel. Mine isn't that exciting. A friend of mine really liked playing those soccer video games, and I was and still am complete rubbish at them, so I eventually would just choose the worst team, knowing I'd lose anyway. The worst team stat-wise was South Korea. As for the specific game, I have no clue, because each year they pretty much make the same game, but with slightly better graphics. Well, there's a couple options for that. It could be EA Sports. It could be... I know there's John Madden's football, so it's not John Madden. There's a couple of options. I don't know why they do that. Why do companies upload the same sports game every year? I don't get it. That's something I really don't understand. And to be fair, it's working out for them, because let's look, because I did some research on this a couple of years ago, so these might have changed since then. Last time I looked this up was in 2017. For a report for school, because I was talking about video games as art. But of the top selling games, we have John Madden. We have FIFA. We have NBLA. We have NBA 2K23. So, like, 4 of the 20 are all sports games, and all of these sports games have the 23 or the 22. All of these are yearly releases. How in the fuck? Why would you buy a new sports game every year to get the same game? But yeah, I that's something that I'll never understand, is why companies will not only release these sports games every single year and just release the same game with slightly different teams, but why do people... Who are these people? Who are these people who are buying these sports games every year? I don't get it. I don't understand. It's like, who the fuck is still buying Call of Duty? Like, I don't know. It's just, people are weird, man. I don't understand. I don't really understand. Anyway, for Noah, The Forest. This game is popular with all friend groups, I know, but it's just so dull to me. Even if it was original at the time, it just had nothing that stands out or anything that can separate it from all the clones that came after it. I think it's fun for 5 minutes until you realize it's another janky survival simulator that feels like it was made in 5 days. Oof. Good idea, maybe, but it's so overdone and poorly executed. I know there's worse games out there for sure, but this hits me as the biggest letdown. I agree with some of your points. I disagree with some of your others. I think that The Forest does have some unique things going for it. But it takes a little while to get far enough into the game to see them, because the monster designs are actually really, really fucking cool. Here we go. So, yikes. Motherfucking yikes. What the fuck? That's the weirdest fucking shit. Is that a penis? That's the weirdest fucking shit I've ever seen in my life. Like, and I think that's kind of the appeal, is that the jank of The Forest sometimes makes it even weirder or more creepy when all of a sudden these high poly rendered fucking blob monsters come out of nowhere and you fucking lose your goddamn mind. So I think there's some merit to The Forest jank. However, playing the forest solo would be the most boring fucking experience I've ever played. I only play the forest with friends, and that's because while you have to take 20,000 million years to build a giant wall around your base, and you have to cut down 50 trees to do it, you can bullshit with your buddies. And I think that's kind of the appeal of the forest, is seeing some weird shit and bullshitting with your friends while you're doing random fuck off bullshit. It's a very slow-paced game until it's not. But yes, I agree that there have been a lot of survival games, and a lot of them do basically the exact same things. And the forest is definitely one of them. I think the appeal of games like the forest are to play with your friends. And I don't necessarily even think they're good games, but I think you can consider them a worthwhile experience if they facilitate a good time with your friends. Because I know in our group, some of our greatest jokes, some of our greatest in-jokes came from the forest. There's a time I remember specifically when we figured out how to pick up the little trays from the plane, and Tyrant just went around for the next half an hour just like crouching next to people going, "You want a tray? You want a tray?" And we still say this to this day. When we play Plate Up now and somebody picks up a tray, it's, "You want a tray?" instantly. It's great. It's fantastic. It's fun. But I agree with you ultimately that the forest is not a good game. It's a good time. It's not a good game. Last but not least, for Xander. Let me start this by saying that I'm not saying the entire game is bad. However, the later stages of Banjo-Kazooie were such an aggravating experience that I can't bring myself to replay it, especially the final boss. The difficulty spike hit me so hard that it soured the entire game for me. I know that's normal for older games, but other games in the same genre don't feel as punishing and feel more well-rounded years later. I enjoyed it at the beginning, but as soon as I hit Rusty Bucket Bay, I hated every moment of it. I of course, myself have not played Banjo-Kazooie either, so you guys like threw me a loop, like. I've only played the forest of all these games you guys sent me. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. What I can talk about is difficulty in older games, because even in the Nintendo 64 era, we were still kind of getting out of that idea that games needed to be uber punishingly fucking difficult, because originally video games were designed to take your money in arcades. And the Nintendo 64 was a really weird, awkward time for a lot of reasons, specifically because it was the first 3D that anybody had ever really been able to do, which meant there was a lot of jank involved in how to control a character, how to blah blah blah. We didn't even have 2 sticks yet. We only had 1 stick. There was only 1 stick. There was not 2, like you usually would play nowadays. In Ocarina of Time, for instance, the camera's so funky that they literally include a button to just center it behind you again, because otherwise it just goes wherever the fuck it wants. What your point is that it's harder than other games of that genre and of that same era, like Super Mario 64 or Donkey Kong 64. In general, I think that, you know, games need a pretty regular curve to feel satisfying. So like even playing Elden Ring recently, towards the latter, like last 5 bosses of the game, which I just made it to the final area essentially of Elden Ring, and I haven't played for like 8 months, because all of a sudden it goes from, yeah, pretty doable to and that's an experience that is always really, like, there's a small percentage of players who will take that experience and they will bash their heads against the wall and they will conquer it and they will feel great about it. For the rest of us, it feels bad, man. I'm really a much bigger fan of games that have smooth difficulty curves, mostly because I'm still kind of figuring out how to enjoy video games for the games instead of for the story and the atmosphere and stuff. And while story and atmosphere are still my primary things, playing like stuff like Dark Souls and Hollow Knight has really opened my eyes to how gameplay can be fun too. And so for a game to suddenly shut you out feels really bad. I can't speak specifically on Banjo-Kazooie, but that's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. I'd be interested to hear what other people have to say specifically about Banjo-Kazooie and its difficulty spike in the comments, because I'd love to start a discussion about it. Anyway, that is everybody's for the day. Join me next month if you want to both vote in the poll, which is 10 plus patrons, or you want to give me your responses, which is 5 plus patrons. Feel free to follow that link in the description. And I hope to see you all next month. Don't worry. The next upload should be the next Higurashi video. It should be out in about a week and a half. I'm almost done with it. I'm finally almost done with it. So it should be out in a week and a half. It's going to be the longest one to date. Luckily, the 4th one will A, not take as long, and B, not be as long, because the chapter is half the length of all the others. So I hope you look forward to that. and I will see all of you very soon. Farewell and goodbye.